Hi everyone, and welcome to our daily news show, The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics of the day right here in the heart of the newsroom. My name is Alyssa Wu, and I'm coming to you live from the Straits Times. We are streaming live right now on Facebook, and if you're watching us on YouTube, do subscribe to our channel and click that bell button to be notified whenever we go live. I'll be joined very shortly by my newsroom colleagues, where we'll talk about the topics that got you talking today. Now, starting from September 1st, there will be stricter rules regarding the collection of one's NRIC details. It will be illegal for organizations to physically hold on to an individual's NRIC and collect its full number. This will also include one's birth certificate numbers, foreign identification numbers, and work permit numbers. To explain more about this, I have Haris here with me. Hi, Haris.
Hi.
So despite the new rules, there will still be instances where we have to not give up, but show our NRIC.
Show or disclose or like
the
give
particulars.
It up, right? Yeah.
So can you tell us when those instances are?
So basically, from what I am understanding, it's basically three things. The first is that when it's required by the law. The second is when it's performing transactions with the government or accessing government premises. And the third one is when you have to be identified to a high degree of fidelity or accuracy. So let's start with the first one. The first one is when it's required by the law. So under certain parts of the law, you are required to give up your NRIC for things like, for example, off the top of my head, it's when you sign up for a new phone plan, or when you are checking into a hotel, or when you are seeking medical treatment from a GP. So these things and the acts that govern them do require you as a customer or patient or consumer to give up your NRIC. So that one is black and white, it's part of the law. Second part, it's when you are transacting or when you're accessing with the government, accessing premises with the government. So the thinking behind that is that because the NRIC is a unique identifier assigned by the government to each Singaporean and often used for government transactions, the government says that, as the issuing authority of the NRIC, it rightfully uses the NRIC to discharge its functions and services. So, for example, if you're logging into your SingPass and you're signing up for certain things on the government's websites, that will be the main identifier that you use. Yeah, and thirdly, it's when you have to be identified to a sort of high degree of accuracy. So it's when you're purchasing big-ticket items, like maybe a new house, for instance, and for like I mentioned, property transactions, healthcare matters, applying for insurance and certain medical arrangements too. So these things require you to be identified to a very high degree of accuracy, so you have to give up your NRIC as well. So that's when these service providers can actually ask for you to give up your NRIC. And it also applies to when you have to verify certain information. So let's say you have to prove that it's really you, or you have to show that you are above 18 to purchase alcohol or cigarettes. So you can show your NRIC and they can check and read the number to say, okay, this is someone who's above 18, and they can proceed to sell you whatever they're trying to sell you, alcohol or cigarettes. Yeah.
So in these instances, they can record it down and keep it. But in any other cases, if they have to verify it's you, it's enough to just show them your NRIC.
Yes, correct.
But then the other instances, they're not allowed to record it.
Yes, correct. So I mean, it's off the top of my head, things like, when you are signing up for a country club, for instance, or when you are trying to sign up for a new membership for some kind of membership program. Gym, those kind of things. So those are not allowed to use the NRIC as its main identifier, and organizations cannot use the NRIC to identify them or can't collect it. It will be illegal from September 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a very clear explanation. So why is the government now so strict about NRIC data collection now?
Yeah, so I think for a long time, the indiscriminate use of NRIC has been everywhere. Like I mentioned just now, right? It's when you sign up for memberships, even when you sign up for parking coupons,
Lucky draw for the car.
Yes, I remember a time when you want to go to play computer games, at a LAN shop, must give NRIC, renting bicycles even, so all these sort of things. And that's not right because the NRIC is a permanent and irreplaceable identifier, so it binds to you and you can't change it. It's not like a phone number or like an email address that you can change. This is something that binds to you and identifies you. So in the wrong hands, it could be quite dangerous lah. Imagine if someone gets a hold of it, and it's a big step in trying to pretend to be you. Like I said earlier, right? NRIC is used for public administration purposes. So it's used for you to communicate with the government, facilitate transactions with the government. And this also means that it can be used to retrieve official data relating to you, which is quite dangerous if it's in the wrong hands lah.
And we've covered this before in other topics such as cybersecurity. You've elaborated quite at length about it, right? So it's quite clear the dangers of it falling into the wrong hands.
Yeah.
So who or what organizations, who or what will be mainly affected by this new rule?
Who will be affected? I would say it cuts across the board, and almost everyone actually. Everyone will be affected because, like I mentioned, for too long the rampant and indiscriminate use of NRIC has been the norm. It's been a very bad habit, and I think that making it illegal for most companies to use it as identifier is a big step to make generally data more secure. That being said, though, I do understand that it's a very big change, which is why I think the government did give quite a long runway. It's been a year since it was announced last year to prepare for this, and we have seen some companies actually changing the way they identify their customers, changing systems. I know some companies now, instead of using the full NRIC, they use a partial part of it, or maybe they use handphone numbers, or they issue their own membership numbers, So there are ways to get around the use of NRIC. Yeah. So hopefully, we won't be in a situation where we have to give up something so identifiable to rent a bike or to sign up for a new membership. I don't think that's a way to go lah. We should actually be more aware of where our data is going and what kind of misuse there could possibly be. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Haris.
Thanks.
Now for our second segment. On August 25th, Singapore Airlines announced that it has banned a few models of Apple's 15-inch Macbook Pro laptops from all flights. Thai Airways and the Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam has also banned the affected laptop model from all of their flights. This is because some of the brand's MacBook Pro laptops contain batteries that may overheat and pose a safety risk. To tell us more about it, I have tech correspondent YE with us. Hi YE.
Hey.
So how would MacBook users know if their laptops are affected?
Okay, it's actually very simple. Users just have to check their product serial numbers on the Apple website. So they can just go on the Apple website and type it in, and they'll definitely know if it's eligible. But just a general guide, these affected units were mainly sold between September 2015 and February 2017. So it's just very easy.
So they say that over here the batteries, it may overheat. How is this different from the previous MacBook laptops where, if any MacBook users, you would know that the laptop tends to get quite hot when you use it. So how is this different?
Okay, so yes, we've always had complaints about batteries feeling warm to the touch, but these are faulty batteries that could potentially even catch fire. So it can cause quite a lot of damage. So apparently the reason why Apple even started recalling these batteries in the first place is because there were reports of consumers getting hurt. So there were minor skin damage, property damage, and there was even a report of a person suffering from smoke inhalation. So these are quite dangerous. It's the same reason why back in 2016, Samsung's Note 7 had to be banned on all flights as well. Yeah.
Now, I understand that you reached out to Apple. Did they say anything?
They have not responded yet, but I will still try to chase them about it. But Singapore Airlines has responded about how they will implement this rule, because a lot of the MacBooks, they all look exactly the same, right? So what consumers have to know is when they check in, the SQ check-in counter staff will ask you, are you carrying a MacBook Pro? And if so, they want to check against your product serial number. So you'll just have to type in your serial number on the website for them to see, and then they will be able to check if it's safe for you to carry it on board.
And they're very strict about it, right? So if you do carry an affected laptop, there's no way you can get on the flight with the laptop.
I'm pretty sure you'll be denied boarding. So yeah, it's for your own safety too. Yeah.
Thank you so much, YE.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Now, if you use a MacBook that was bought between September 2015 and 2017, like YE says, please do check to see if it's affected. So here are the instructions to do so. And you can also head on to Apple's Program Care website to check the serial number. Now on to our last segment. Our last story is about virtual restaurants and ghost kitchens that you can order actual food from. If that sounds like it shouldn't make sense, then stick around to find out more. It's not uncommon to order our meals using a food delivery app, and it's quite likely that the meal you ordered came from a restaurant that does not physically exist. And there are more such restaurants appearing, at least virtually. To talk more about how this disrupts the food and beverage sector, I have food correspondent Eunice with me. Hi Eunice.
Hello.
Okay, so what exactly is a virtual restaurant and a ghost kitchen?
Okay, so a ghost kitchen actually refers to a fully equipped kitchen space, and they house businesses that prepare meals for delivery-only orders. The word ghost is mainly just used to explain the fact that members of the public don't actually see, like what you said, a physical restaurant in a mall or anywhere else. And usually each business has its own individual kitchen spaces, so you're looking at maybe about 150 to 200 square feet. And a virtual restaurant, which could also be housed in a ghost kitchen, slightly different. It means that the brand basically only exists as an online business and again has no physical store.
So if you want to eat the same meal but outside on date night, you can't do that. You have to order it home.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Have a date night at home.
Yeah.
So who are the major players in this game?
So food delivery services Deliveroo and Foodpanda, they are the main players, along with shared kitchen operator Smart City Kitchens. They just joined the scene in June this year. Deliveroo has 3 ghost kitchens, while Foodpanda has 2, and they have 1 more in the pipeline for this year. GrabFood, which is of course under Grab, is also looking to launch its own ghost kitchens this year.
That's quite a lot since June. It sounds like a pretty fast expansion now. Is there a reason why suddenly it's just exploding?
Deliveroo was earlier. Deliveroo was a couple of years ago, and since then, the rest have been coming onto the scene. Mainly because the sheer convenience to get your food delivered, and the reason why setting up such kitchens in places that may not be the most central. So like they have outlets in, say, One North. Foodpanda has one in Woodlands. It's also to cater to a bigger residential or working crowd. Yeah.
Okay. So today I understand Grab announced the launch of Grab Hawker Hub, which is an industry-first food fulfillment center. What exactly is that?
It's not quite a ghost or central kitchen. In this case, because the food is not prepared on site. So the hawkers will still prepare the food at their own stores for the GrabFood Hawker Hub, and then it is delivered to customers upon order.
Okay, so it's not, we shouldn't confuse it with a ghost kitchen or a virtual restaurant.
Well, until they start to operate in the kitchens itself, then no,
then yes,
not yet. Yeah.
Then not yet. Okay. So we were talking about all these virtual restaurants and these ghost kitchens, and you were saying in your story, in your written story, that it's disrupting the F&B scene.
Yes. Yeah. Mainly for the landlords, because this means that the restaurants, where the mostly the mid-range casual ones, they will no longer need a brick and mortar store. So.
And rent is very expensive.
Exactly.
So they lose a lot of money.
Potentially, yes. So it's cheaper. Basically, you just need to hire someone to cook the food in the kitchen space that is not that big to begin with. So a handful of people probably. You don't need to worry about hiring staff, training them for service. And you don't need to pay crazy rental rates.
So this is actually very good for startups. I understand there is one startup, they've been around for a few years now, called Grain.
Yes.
So this idea of having a virtual kitchen or virtual restaurant or ghost
Yes.
kitchen, this actually isn't that new. It's just that a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon now, correct?
Yes, that's right.
I've tried Grain, and Grain is quite nice.
Yeah, it is.
It's good. It's quite good. Okay, so I want to know as well, will this concept, will it cannibalize our hawker centers?
I think for the time being, not yet, because we're still used to going out to the hawker centers for a meal. And it might also actually be costly to the hawkers to operate out of these kitchens. Especially if some of them are especially if they're older folk, it's easier for them to just, kind of do what they've been doing the whole time in their space. They can control it. They can control their recipes. They can control how much they do, the volume that they do within the space that they have. But in the future, if the concept is tweaked, in the business model that suits the hawkers, so maybe, for example, this GrabFood hawker hub could be something, that would work as a ghost kitchen in the future, probably, maybe, then yes, I think it could. It might cannibalize our hawker centres, although we still love our hawker centres very much.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot about the ambience as
Yeah,
well.
that's right,
Ambience,
yeah.
So in your opinion, is there a downside to these virtual restaurants and ghost kitchens?
To me, the main thing is not having a visible shop front. So you could see it as a good or bad thing, especially for new brands. Yeah, because yes, it will be good in terms of cheap. You save costs, but if no one actually sees you, how much visibility do you get? You have to do a lot of marketing to get your name out, probably on social media. Someone who's not on social media, like my mom, probably would never know that you exist. And right now we see a lot of F&B brands that are already established that are doing this. So you know that brand. Probably people have eaten at the restaurant enough times to know that food is good. And so when they say that they are coming up with a virtual restaurant, a virtual brand that is new, you would be like, oh, okay, this is by this concept. I guess, I can trust its quality. But if it's a brand new restaurant or brand that nobody has heard of, then it'll take some time to build up.
So maybe startups
reputation.
might want to reconsider or think thoroughly before they jump on this, because what they might save in overhead costs, they might end up putting it into marketing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Eunice.
Thank you very
for
much.
that. So those were our top stories for today. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Melissa. For more Big Story, join us again, same time, same place, tomorrow.